Hey everyone. Thanks for being on here. Um, First off, super excited to get started. It's been a long time. It's been crazy. All right, do you guys have me again?
We hear you, Coach.
Okay, all right. So sorry about that. So anyways, we're excited about just getting going here. Real quick, we do have a schedule change. We were supposed to open up on Friday, but with the impending weather that's on its way across the country, we've got the opportunity to leave tomorrow and open up on Thursday at 3 o'clock against Arkansas. So that'll be a great challenge. Great first game, two top 25, probably top 20 teams. I think they're ranked pretty high as well. So just really anxious to get going with them as well. And just as much for our team as anything, just to get back to a normal feel. I think the message I've been telling our kids over the last couple of weeks is, as I've been doing a bunch of interviews, I'm more excited just to get on the bus, and get back to what's normal. And it seems like that's where most of our teams seem to really come together. I think we have fought more than any other year. We have fought outside things, and I think it's just a product of the season from last year being ripped out, going through the things we're going through. And then honestly, I think our girls, for the first time in their entire lives, have what I like to say, they've seen the light outside of school and softball that they've never seen. And like all of us that are adults know, it's pretty cool out there once you get going. But what I try to remind them is that almost every athlete I've been around would do this all over again if you're really committed to the process and your school and your teammates. So I'm just trying to think that's been the hardest coaching job of our time here, just to get these kids back. But I think what I do realize is that some of my older kids, for sure, they just want to get back on the field against somebody else. Tired of practice, tired of inter squads, kind of tired of each other, to be very honest. And getting on that bus is the message. We just want to get onto the bus tomorrow. There's rain on Thursday, and we were talking about not going if there's rain. I'm like, I don't even care at this point. We're getting on the bus and we're going so we can be together. So we should have an incredible year. Talent wise, this is as talented of a team as we've ever had. Now it's just a matter of, can this be the same type of team that last year was? And I don't even mean talent wise, I mean a team. And that's the unknown. Right now it's just okay. And that's the honest truth. We're just okay. But talent wise, we're as good as we've ever been. So I'll just open it up and we can talk about them and whatever else you guys want to do.
Coach, first I'll say hi and introduce myself. I'm with the Carlee. I'm Sam, and I'll be one of the guys covering the team this year. So I'm excited for it and talking with you all season long. I'll ask you first. I saw a stat that said your lineup was on pace to break the OSU single season record in like runs per game and slugging percentage and RBIs, a bunch of offensive stuff. Like you said, if the team can kind of get back to where they were last year, how good can this offense be this year?
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, this offense is on track right now. They could be the best we've ever had. I mean, everyone's back. That really had a lot of, the majority of at bats. And then when you add a Reagan Wright and you add a Jordan Doggett to that mix, and you've got some kids that are a year older, and you got some freshmen that are going to push kids. This is, I don't know what you want me to say, except it's really good. And I mean, we should break every record here. I mean, to be honest, we've done that a lot here. We've seemed to keep breaking the records here as the game has become more offensive. And when a lot of our earlier success in our history here. It was a lot more pitching oriented. Now it's a lot more offensive oriented, and that's just the way that the game has changed. I don't know that anybody's ever going to touch our pitching records here. You'd have to be really dang good, and I mean, best in the country, and it can be done. And that's what we're recruiting for and recruiting to. But we continue to break those records. I've completely turned the offense, the hitting over to Coach Jeff. Just so happy for him that I feel like he's earned that. He deserves that. You know, he's done so much to help this program over his time here, and hitting is his deal. I've stepped out of that, so I'm just another voice for him. I'll continue to run our offense, but on the day-to-day, the relationships that our girls have hitting wise are with him, and it's really good. I told him, I said, I bet you wish we were playing right now. He goes, I do, because we really look good. We beat up our staff is really good, but when you see kids over and over and over again, it's a big advantage. So we should do all that. We should continue to break those records, or should be on pace to have the same type of year.
Got you. And my last question for you is, you know, with your roster that earned such a great preseason ranking, I'm assuming playing time might be a little hard to come by for some younger players. But is there there always seems to be maybe a surprise younger player that makes an impact. You know, I guess I'm a little new to the team. Could you maybe give me a freshman or a younger player to keep an eye on who could make a jump this year?
Well, I would just tell you, let me just, I'll talk to you about our 3 offensive young kids that are young. Scotland David is from Florida, freaky athlete, maybe the fastest kid on our team, tall in stature, left-handed hitter, more of a hitter than she does move her feet, but she can move her feet some and bunt some. So she's going to be an offensive threat here for a long time. Avery Hobson, she's an outfielder as well. She's more of a move your feet bunter kid. She may be the 2nd or 3rd fastest kid on our team. So she'll be a kid that's both of those kids are going to get at bats. Caitlin Carwile, maybe may be in a better spot than both of those kids right now. Just seems to have a knack for barreling up balls. And I think she's also a pitcher as well. But I really think as of right now, her future is probably greater in the batter's box. We'll see how her pitching keeps going here. It's going to be really hard for her to get innings here on this staff. But offensively, she's got some lightning in her bat. And then maybe a kid from last year who's a freshman again would be the Petty kid. Maybe as much power as I've ever seen here. We've got some kids that have really been able to show power here, at least in BP. She hits balls that nobody else has ever hit balls here. We have a tree that we kind of measure everyone off out there in right center field, and she's hit them higher and farther into that tree than anybody like I've seen, you know, up to this point here. So those may be the kids that, you know, you want to keep your eye out on as far as new kids or a kid who's got some experience, but should be able to kind of play a little freer as our 2nd-year kid.
Got you. Thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Kenny, based on our conversation session so far and the fact I was able to get out there for an inter squad, you've been wanting to see that team camaraderie that you had last year. I think I saw some of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. It always is. I think I can remember Coach John when he joined our staff last year. We were having some typical early season, I don't know, cattiness, you know, going on. It's normal. It's normal on any team. Doesn't matter if you're coaching girls or guys. Everybody's trying to kind of get their bluff in, and everybody's trying to figure out who's who and what everyone is all about. And I can remember we were talking to our team, and it was really the first time that Coach John had spoke up, and he said, you know, what all of you need to remember is what you tend to remember most is the end of each year, especially when you've had a World Series year. You remember the very end. What you forget about is the journey it took to get there. And I thought it was the most perfect words at that point for last year's team, because it really kind of sunk in for all of us. Like, you forget the up and down. You forget, you just think you're going to pick back up and take off again. I made the mistake from this year. Like but I saw it early, but the mistake I made was I thought in my brain that we would just pick right up from last year's team. We're back, we're together, the band is back, like here we go again. And it was like, oh my gosh, we're a mess. Like I mean, I was seeing looks in girls' eyes that I hadn't seen yet in those eyes. And as a coach, it hurts. It's painful because you're like, what? I shouldn't be worried about this kid or that kid. And now I'm having to kind of do things that I was like, hey, I thought I already had that base covered. And that's what coaching is. It's just figuring out what each kid needs every year. And it's difficult. And all these kids are growing in great ways. But we're not void of problems. We still have them. We got to work through them. I can tell you the one thing that we're going to do is hit them head on and get them out. And that's what we'll always do. But Robert, we're coming together and we're going to get on that bus, and it'll really change. I think it always does. And we're going to have a blast, and we'll see where it goes.
You know, the other thing too, before you did the inter squad, when I was out there the other day, you were doing a base running, base defense drill, you know, action. I could see why you took over the offense, because maybe the one thing this team wasn't as good in last year, they were so good hitting, pitching, defense, is moving on the base paths. Man, you can do some things to put pressure on people with some of the kids you've got.
Yeah, well, we've got a different, you know, the dangerous thing about hitting home runs is you think you're going to hit them every at bat. Like I honestly, coaching third at times, every kid who runs us up there, except for like a Hobson or a Callahan, like they're capable of hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And so it's scary. Like it's a bad place. My first year, we had nobody that could hit it out of the ballpark. Right. I mean, so I was like, hey, I mean, it's hit and run, it's run and hit, it's bunt and run, it's all this other stuff. And you're like, man, we got this offense, and you only run that offense because you can't hit. Now you can hit, and you're like, what? I don't want these guys to bunt, but it's still a really good thing for this group. And now you've added these kids who can run even more. We've always had speed, but now we have like legitimate speed. And I keep telling our staff and our team, like, we have this slap and bunt defensive drill that we've done now a bunch of times, and we've never executed like we are now. And it just gives our defense a better look. I mean, if I'm Carrie and Logan and Kelly, I'm like, hey, just compete over the plate, because we can play catch. Like we've always been able to play catch, but we're better. We've got strikeout kids, which makes the defense better as well. And speed, we've got it. So we're going to have a lot of people. It's my job to get all these kids in. And like I told these kids who are fighting to get in our lineup, the first thing that you've got to do is run the bases as well, because that's where you're going to get your first looks. And then it's pinch hitting. And we're not looking for hits. We're looking for great at bats. It's the same old thing. We're not chasing hits. We're chasing great at bats. And then when you can do that and you're hitting, then we'll find you a place. So we've got a lot of kids who are pushing some older kids, which is really healthy.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yes.
Hey, Kenny, how are you doing?
Hey, Jenny, how are you?
I'm good. Congrats on the wedding.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, so you mentioned getting the band back together on the bus. I'm curious though, you guys are sort of at the end of this COVID year. Are there some things that other teams have learned along the way that you guys are going to be sort of taking advantage of what other groups there at OSU have learned to try to really avoid problems, if that's out there for you guys?
You know, it's a great question. I've been talking to all the coaches. We've been meeting as head coaches throughout the pandemic once each week, which has been maybe as good a thing as I've ever had, just to be able to hear things. But honestly, it's just trying to keep our bubble intact. You know what I mean? I've made a decision that I'm going to let our girls continue to do what we've normally done because I just think they've earned that. They've earned the right to have some normalcy. Now, you know, I've asked them to wear a mask. I've asked them to, you know, if you're going to leave, I want to know, we'll kind of keep an eye on that. But we've done a really good job up to this point. I don't foresee them having a letdown because they know how important that this is. I think when you look at these sports that really had their seasons ripped out, I mean, it's a different kind of hurt. And so I think they understand what's at stake here. So I'm not going to say that we may not have some bad luck, but I'm not going to put my finger on them where they can't be normal, where they can't be who they want to be. I've got some older kids, Carrie being one of those kids who is tired of hearing me talk about COVID and masks and all that kind of stuff. And I am too. It's part of what I got to do. It's part of what my job is. It's part of what your parenting skills and that kind of stuff. I just want to remind them, hey, wear your mask, try to stay 6 feet apart. We've done that. They've been very aware. So nothing out of the ordinary. I mean, we're not going to, you know, like we normally would eat in a restaurant, you know, before games, like in the hotel area, we're going to have our own rooms and that kind of stuff. We always bring our food in. We very rarely leave to go eat. We always have it in, or we're in a room. So we're going to continue on that. I just think that bringing your food in, you can control time. Don't waste time. We don't have to get back and shower and do all that kind of stuff. Just get back to the room. They can study or hang out or be with their parents that a lot of these kids can't wait for. And I don't blame them. I mean, they're going through the regular stuff. So I think that would be just the regular thing, just the mask, the 6 feet. That seems to be as important as anything. So we're going to just kind of stay on that.
Hey, one of the other things that was a result of you guys getting the spring wiped out last year was, you know, all these kids coming back. You guys benefit from it, but as you look around the country, a lot of other teams have too. What's sort of your read on just the depth of talent that so many teams look to have this spring?
I think you're going to see the greatest softball year of all time, to be honest. I think OKC is going to be an absolute showcase of America's best. I really do. I look around and, you know, everybody, like you said, everybody's like, man, you got all these kids back. And I'm like, so did UCLA, so did Washington, so did Florida, so did OU, so did all the blue bloods, right? So, but hey, I'll show up wherever they want to play. We'll show up and play. And I don't care where it's at. We'll do that. So I think you're going to see the greatest softball yet. I think the positive, that one of the positives that could come out of this is our game, as you know, you've covered it now for a long time, and you get the event in OKC. It's the best secret of all time, and now it's not so much of a secret. And I think it could really propel us into the next level of where we want to be. We've always been a sport who's listened to ESPN and what they've thrown out to us to shorten our games just a bit, to do some things to make it as TV friendly as we could. We've done that. They're extremely happy, and that's why they can't wait to get our game on. And so I'm very excited about watching these kids play. But Jenny, I'll tell you this. I don't think it's a slam dunk with some of these kids like having just guaranteed great years. I think across the country, these kids have gone through some really traumatic, emotional type things that nobody's talking about. And I think I don't think it's a guarantee that everybody's going to play their free year. And the biggest caveat in this whole thing is after this year, I go back to 12 scholarships. Like I'm not going to be able to keep everyone. And that's, I don't know how I'm going to go through that. I lay in bed at night going, how is this fair? I mean, I got kids that I'd love to have back, but they can come back, but I don't know that I can have them back on their scholarship. I've got kids we've already signed. I've got kids we've already committed to, and there's a lot weighing on us, and decisions. So it's going to be the programs who do the best job of truly communicating with their families and their kids, I think will be the healthiest at the very end. But I think you're going to see some even more transfer activity here, and I think you're going to see some really hard things at the end.
All right. Thanks, Kenny.
Yep. Thank you.
Hi, Coach. In your opening, you said as a team, you just feel okay. Why is that, and what will it take to go from okay to good and good to great again?
Time. I mean, there is no greater thing, and they're not making any more of it. And so you gotta capture the moments. Like, I'm a big moment guy, and even in good and bad ones, we have to learn and be able to capture every moment and grow. And so that's what the bus does. That's what travel does. It gets you away from a lot of the outside ancillary things that pull you away. And time will help. Time will grow us. And that's it. I mean, there is no, I wish I had a magic potion that I could sell and sprinkle on them and go, hey, it's time to be a good, close knit, solid team. They're doing what they've got to do. They're aware of what they've got. I mean, we've had enough talks. I don't need to talk anymore. They're tired of hearing us talk and me talk. They're ready to go play. And so playing for our team is going to be huge. I think I've got some older kids, like I said, they're just tired of practice. They're tired of all the whatever it is. I mean, the things you've got to do, they're just ready to play. And so playing, getting on that bus, being in a hotel, hanging out, I think that's what will really help this team. None of our teams, and I'm going to back up. None of our teams have just gotten on that first bus trip and have been in a perfect place. It evolves. It's magical. It's why you coach. It's why every team is a new team, why every year is a new year. And that's why it was a ridiculous thought for me to think that we would just pick back up when we've added new kids, and we had a couple of seniors who may not have played as much, but they decided to not come back. So you're having a new dynamic. You have a new trying to figure out where the juice is, and we're getting there. And so that's all I mean. Then that's what'll happen. We just need time. We just need some together time.
Thanks, Coach.
Kenny, when you look at that pitching staff, is it a little bit of a challenge on just how you're gonna work with all of those because you've got so many arms?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge for the bottom four. That's the challenge. We're gonna right now our top three would be Carrie, Logan, and Kelly. I think Logan's a tad ahead of Kelly right now from where she was last year. She's got a few things she's working on to improve on, and that's going down now. So it's been really good to watch. Logan's been really good here of late, and Carrie's just been her. I mean, it's just steady Eddie. You kind of know what you're going to get. Feeling good, I think, and all that. So the challenge, Scott, is the bottom four. How are we going to get those kids to develop? How do we find out if they can get it done at this level? And right now, I don't know that we've got enough innings to go around. So that's why the games are so important to us. So that's why it's so important for us to leave here today and to try to get 5 games or tomorrow and try to get these 5 games in. We need to play to see if our offense is just this good and we're beating everyone up, or is it just we've seen them wait too much, So you're going to see the main 3 at this point. And then I would say that Evans and Carlisle are probably battling out to try to be the 4th one. Evans is, she's a kid that's got some good stuff at times, got to be consistent. Carlisle is just a competitor, just competes in the zone, but doesn't have a blow you away pitch yet, but just really competes. So those are probably the top 5 at this point. But who knows? But I don't know. I don't know how we're going to have enough innings to go around. It's been a struggle for Coach John to work through as well.
Hey, Kenny, can I ask you one quick thing about Carrie?
Sure.
What have you, I mean, like you said, last spring was such a downer. And for somebody like her, I assume that was magnified, but what have you learned about her in the last year?
I mean, I've learned a lot about her, in a lot of ways, to be very honest. She's really grown here. And you know, I think when I talk about the pitching, I think she's really comfy in her role here. She's the anchor here. So that's a big expectation here. She has a way of knowing when it's time to really go. Like, I was really impressed with her last year. She hated the weight room when she got here. She's really embraced that. She came back from our break, and I thought she was in as good a shape as she had been in all year, which told me she was working when she'd left here. So that was a huge deal. And then she gets off to that great start. And then she's come back now, and it's kind of cool to watch her. I think she's was kind of on cruise control in the fall, having to work through and get herself healthy again. And after not pitching every day, it's a grind on these bodies. I mean, I think everyone has a misconception because we throw from a different angle than baseball. They think, well, softball can just throw all day. It's not it's still a beat down on the body and the legs. So I've watched her really mature and just understanding what she needs and the communication that she needs, the communication with our team. And then I've watched her relationship skills grow. I don't think that may have been her best skill when she got here, and I think it's actually it's going up. You can ask her the same thing. She may disagree with me, but I think that's the biggest thing for her as anybody. I think everybody thinks that when you're an ace, when you're an Allison Febri, and everybody's looking to you, that it's just easy. It's not. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of weight you carry each day that's most people that aren't in their shoes have no idea what that weight is like. And so she's a work in progress on that other stuff. And I think that maybe what I'm most proud of her for is the fact that she's growing in that. She's not perfect yet. Just like me. I still have moments that I have to work with on her as well. That if I say something like joking around that she doesn't take well, I have to go to her and go, hey, and she's better about telling me, hey, you kind of hurt me there. And I'm like, I figured that. I was just trying to joke around with you, but I saw that look and I was like, uh-oh. So and I tease her all the time. I'll walk up to her and give her a hug and just, we kind of laugh it off. But last year, and when she got here, I don't know that we were in that place. So, and I don't want to be like that. I want to come out what comes out. And if it offends you, I'll apologize and I'll give you a hug. And hopefully she's at a point now where she can say, hey, like, you hurt me. And I can say, I got you. I saw that, you know what I mean? And that's what relationships are all about. And coaching is all about. And, me, I say anything that comes out on my mind, and that's kind of what makes me. But it's never from a point of wanting to hurt you. It's a point of wanting to motivate you or just trying to see where you may be at that point. So, but I'm just proud of her. She's ready. These super seniors, they're ready. They're tired of inter squads. They're tired of practice. They're over it. I don't think they would practice another day if they didn't have to. They just show up and play. But we obviously got to get our work in. That it? Appreciate you guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, up next, we have outfielder Chyenne Factor. Take this off. Hi.
Hi, Cheyenne. I asked the first question to Coach, so I guess I'll ask you the first question. First off, I wanted to say hi. I'm Sam. I'm one of the guys from the O'Colly covering the team. So I'm looking forward to it. I'll ask you, especially with the game, with the season being moved up and getting to play Arkansas one day earlier, you and the team got to be pretty excited to play a meaningful game this week.
Oh yeah, we're super excited. I mean, we've been waiting to play. We've been inter-squadding like crazy. So just to see someone else and get to go somewhere else, it's going to be fun. We're excited for sure.
And with the way y'all played last year and, kind of how the projections stack up, this team, is supposed to be pretty good. Obviously, y'all haven't even, played yet. So I kind of hate to bring up, super aspirations down the road. But how good do you think this team can be kind of big picture this season?
A big picture, I think we can win a national championship. So, I mean, that's our goal and that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be exciting.
And then my last question for you is, I saw a stat that said the offensive lineup last year, it was on pace to break some Oklahoma State records, like, runs per game, RBIs, total bases, some good offensive metrics. What have you seen from the offense this year so far?
This far, I mean, there's a bunch of home runs getting hit. I can tell you that. I'm sure, I mean, our pitchers are really good. Not that we make them look bad at all, because they do carve us up here and there, but, like, we're hitting them hard. So, I mean, that says a lot because we have 7 arms, but.
And how nice is that to, like you said, you're doing inter-squads almost every day. How nice is that to be going against top-tier pitching like y'all have here every day?
It's really good for us. I mean, we get annoyed, obviously, because it's the same thing over and over and over. But, I mean, in the big picture, it only helps us.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Chyenne, how challenging was the off season? Just going through everything and trying to stay focused and now trying to get back at it.
Yeah. So, like you're saying, this fall or like when it got cut off?
Both.
Both. Well, so we could start when COVID hit. It was very odd, just because no one had any idea of what was happening. And then, like, we were staying in Stillwater, Coach G and everyone was like, y'all need to stay here. Like, this is the safest place, because thinking it would maybe pick back up in like April, May or whatever. So we stayed. And then we finally got sent home. And then when we got back, it wasn't anything like too crazy, just having to adjust and listen and wear your mask, of course. But I mean, it hasn't been horrible. The coaches and the staff around here have done a really good job to keep us healthy and doing the right thing. So it's been okay.
Was it when the fall started back up? Was it? I mean, I'm guessing you haven't had a break like that probably from softball ever.
Ever.
Was that tough to get over?
I mean, kind of, just to get back in the swing of things, because we were just so used to like going, and then that was a long break. So it was nice at times, but then it was kind of like what do you do with your day almost? So getting back, it was good to have a schedule again.
How do you see this this lineup kind of coming together? You talked about the potential of it, but you see a lot of different faces getting involved this year.
Yes and no. I mean, it's going to be very familiar faces with Allison, Sydney, Carrie, Kylee, Michaela, me. I mean, it's going to be. I mean, that's a scary lineup if I was any other pitcher, I would say. But it's going to be fun to watch for sure.
Thanks, Shy.
Yeah.
Chyenne, hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I asked Kenny about COVID stuff and just the challenges of, going on the road and doing that stuff. And he mentioned the fact that, for you guys having had that spring just cut out from under you, that he's really not had a lot of concerns about you guys. He really feels like there's a sense of, what you guys want to do. You want to stay on the field. Is that true? Have you sort of seen everybody? I mean, you obviously want to play, but you gotta be safe and you gotta stay out of quarantine and all that. Is that something that you guys probably don't want to talk about, but is that something that you're mindful of?
We are for sure. Like, I mean, we don't really like go out or anything like that. I mean, if you know what I'm saying. But I mean, we'll get together as the softball team. We don't like really put ourselves in bad situations because we know we are in season now. So, I mean, in the fall, they're kind of a little lax here and there, but now it's going to be probably pretty tight. I mean, it has been. They like to let us do what we want to do, but I mean, that comes back on us. Like, we don't get to play. I mean, it's not the coaches, so they're like, I mean,
that's your responsibility to.
Exactly. So,
yeah. You mentioned that, that you sort of sounds like you guys have developed a bubble. You're not technically in a bubble, but is that safe to say that you've sort of got your own bubble?
I mean, yeah, it is. Because, I mean, all the athletes, so most of the time, you're okay if you're around athletes just because everyone's getting tested consistently. So, but we try to stay like within each other for sure.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kenny also mentioned that you guys have a tree that you measure home runs by. Have you seen some things involving the tree this year that are a little bit different? It sounds like maybe you have.
No, like home run wise and stuff. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I mean,
that's what he was talking about. I think distance on the home runs.
There's a tree. It sits in between the batter's eye and the scoreboard, so we go off of that. But the lefties crush them. Like, it's crazy. Carlee and Allison, Haley does too. She's a righty, but yeah, they go far into that creek.
Any cars been impaled by anything yet this year?
No, because they moved that parking lot back there. So
probably
that's good.
Right?
But we've been losing a lot of balls in the creek. Coaches get mad.
Hey, I asked Kenny this as well. The fact that you guys as a sport got, cut out from under you last year, a lot of teams bringing back a lot of players, but also new talent. The challenges seems pretty significant. How do you sort of wrap your head around the fact that, a lot of these teams that were looking good last year are probably looking even better like you guys are? Like, how do you sort of get ready for that?
I mean, I don't know if you can get ready for it, but I think it's going to be like one of the best years of softball. It's going to be so much fun to watch. I mean, especially for the super seniors. I mean, it is their last year actually. So, I mean, everyone's going to be going. It's going to be almost like the World Series in baseball. They're playing like their kids every single game. So I think it's going to be fun.
Thanks, Chyenne.
Yeah. Thank you.
Chyenne, Coach said that as a team, you guys just feel okay, not as good as you were when the season was ended. How has that felt from a player's perspective?
I could probably agree with that, but just because coming back from the COVID and the break and everything, like, everyone was doing their own thing, like, for months, like, on end. So it wasn't like we were anywhere near each other. Like, everyone was in their home state at home doing, I mean, whatever they were doing. There wasn't any softball related anything at all. I think we had a couple Zoom calls here and there just to keep in touch, but other than that, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to keep not a bond, but a bond when you're not around people every day like we are now. So it's coming back, and we'll get there.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chyenne, I'll ask an obscure follow-up real quick. Does that tree have a name, the home run tree?
It does not. It does not. We should probably name it.
I was going to say, who's responsible for nicknames around the team?
I don't know. If we name it, we'll have to get back to you.
All right, sounds good.
Hey, Chyenne, let me ask you one other thing. You mentioned the super seniors, and you guys have got, some players that, the accolades that are starting to come out. We're seeing them on lists and all that sort of thing. But I'm curious if you've sensed, like, I know you guys are so ready to get back out there. Maybe this isn't something that, is evident yet, but sort of the desire to be great. I mean, especially when you're on that, super senior or senior year. I mean, I think they'll probably be done after this year too. Like, is there pressure there? What is that, do you feel like, with especially the older gals on the team?
I wouldn't see it as pressure. I mean, I think they see it just as an opportunity. I mean, they get a whole nother year for free. Yeah. So I think that's what they're seeing as, and they're just, I know ours are going to go play and get everything they have. So, and they're excited for it. No pressure.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you. Good.
Is that all for Shy?
Thank you, guys.
All right, and the last person we have is senior pitcher Carrie Eberle. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Carrie. I'll first, before I ask my question, say hi and tell you I'm Sam. I'm gonna be with the Carlee, so I'll be one of the guys. I'm new to the team, but I'm looking forward to it. And I'll ask you first, with the season being moved up a day and getting to play Arkansas a little bit earlier, that's got to be really exciting to play a meaningful game this week.
Super exciting. We're ready. I mean, I don't think anyone complained when they found out we were leaving a day early. So we're ready to play someone else besides each other and just go at it.
And with the way that y'all played last year and kind of how the projections stack up, you're at least on paper, supposed to be really good. Where do you kind of see, I don't know, maybe the ceiling of this team, or what have you seen so far as to how good this team can be?
I mean, the expectations for us is to get back to Oklahoma City and not just get there, but compete and somehow end up in the final two and go to battle then. I mean, we have the potential to do it, and we just have to come out every day and play how we're capable of, and we can be anyone if we do that.
Got you. And I've heard from Coach and Chyenne that those inter-squad battles that y'all have been having have been pretty tense between the hitters and the batters. Both sides winning their battles here and there. From a pitcher's perspective, what is that like to go against such a great lineup every day in practice?
I mean, it's great, and I think it helps us just build more confidence in our stuff. I mean, these people have seen you hundreds of times, hundreds of at-bats, so they're not going to swing at things other people do. So just like having to find other ways to get them out is really cool and good for our pitchers' development.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So what do you think of this offense, though? We haven't seen them up close as much as you have.
I mean, from top to bottom, that's a scary lineup. I mean, there's no lulls. We got 9 great hitters and plenty of others that can come in at any time and be a good potential threat as pinch hitters. So we're really deep, and hopefully we'll be scoring lots of runs this year.
The pitching staff sounds pretty deep as well. Nice to know that you've got some arms behind you that when you need a break, you got people that can step in and take over for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be kind of how it was last year, just me, Logan, and Kelly getting it done and knowing that we can rely on each other, so we don't have to go out there and be perfect all the time because they have our back because everyone's not going to have their best stuff every day. So having that depth is for sure helpful when it comes to our schedule.
Hey, Carrie, as we've got a chance to talk to Kenny and Shy before you, and now you talking about, potentially winning it all this year. I mean, like, you guys, nobody has shied away from high expectations. Is that something that you guys are feeling on this team, or is that being talked about? I mean, it just seems like you guys are embracing the idea of just how great this team could be.
I think, yeah, I just seeing the potential we had last year, and there's no reason we can't be better than we were last year because we have another year under our belts together. So I came here for one reason, and that's a shot to go to the World Series. So that's every intention that I have to help our team get there. So I definitely think everyone's on the same page with that.
Obviously, with the way COVID went down last spring, everybody sort of gets the super seniors or the chance to have super seniors on the team, and sort of extra talent and all that sort of stuff. As you look around the country, I assume that you see that there's other teams like you guys that seem a little extra loaded. What's the challenge as it relates to that when you look sort of more broadly?
I mean, I think the challenge is that at the end, it's going to be who's playing their best at the right time, just like it always is. But it'll mean more because the teams are as stacked as they've ever been. So it's the same game. It's just figuring out how to play to your full potential and be playing well at the right time.
You obviously can't get to that last game until you get to the first game. Kenny was pretty fired up about getting on the bus. It sounded like he wanted to throw you guys onto the bus, regardless of whether there was actually a game at the end. Have you sensed everybody's excitement about actually getting back out there?
Yes, I mean, everyone's super excited. Like, we've been waiting, we've been itching to play for a long time. This is the longest probably all of us have gone without playing someone else in our lives. So definitely looking forward to it for sure.
Do you, because of that, because it has been so long, I mean, and I know that, I mean, there's no way to know what the right buildup to getting back out there is. And you guys think you're there, but it's impossible to know because nobody's been through this. Do you give yourselves a little bit of grace to say, hey, we may have some fits and starts to get going here? I mean, like, how, what's sort of that mental approach as you realize, hey, we're fired up, but it's been, you know, almost a year since we played?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really for any season. I don't think we were really hitting our full stride until the end of last year, and we were 20 something games in. So, I mean, it takes some time, but you got to go out there and play and win the games that count, you know, which is every one of them. So especially because you never know what's going to happen if you're going to lose games or something this year. So just got to make sure when we get the chance to play that we come out ready.
Hey, lastly, because you guys did have that year, you know, taken from you last spring, and just the disappointment of that, Kenny said he hasn't really had to worry much about you guys as far as, you know, staying in your bubble and being as careful as possible about COVID and not being in a situation where you're quarantined or contact trace or whatever. Have you felt that from everybody, to like just how important this is to stay on the field?
I mean, for sure, no one wants to be in the situation where you can't play because
Yeah,
you're sick or you're not even sick and you just were around someone. So I think everyone's doing their part and understands it, and the coaches do a good job of not being too forceful, because I think if you put too many rules on people, they won't listen. But just like understanding that we're adults and it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. And I think our team's done a really great job of it, and hopefully that continues throughout this season.
do you feel like you've changed or seen, I mean, across the team, people change behaviors? I know the fall was probably different. You were maybe a little bit more, you know, go see people or go, you know, shopping or whatever. Have you sensed people change activities even to try to make sure that they're as safe as possible?
I think, yeah, I mean, usually in January, it's like the time where you're like, oh, let's go hang out here or wherever because we're about to be so busy, whatever. But now it's kind of, let's just go hang out at someone's house and together in our bubble. So that's kind of been the biggest change.
Gotcha. Thanks, Carrie.
Carrie, what was the longest break from softball like for you personally?
It was hard. It was challenging, just mentally, because softball is what I've done with my life for so long. So having that ripped out from under you is kind of hard, but it was nice to get some family time that you also usually don't get. My brother was home that he's older, so he lives in New York City, but he's been living at home because of the pandemic. So that was the positive of it. But overall, it was tough to like be away from your friends for so long and just be cooped up a lot. But
And what has it been like since you've been back?
I mean, I think it's been, obviously there's been some adjustments, and I feel like at the beginning it was harder because I mean, when you're away for people for months on end, like things change, and just figuring out how to navigate those changes and the relationships with that come along with that was the biggest hurdle to get over. But I think we've done a good job of just figuring it out together as a team and trying to stay healthy. So